1.8 acres in El Dorado County, California. My name is Miles. I've been getting a lot of questions about this property. It's kind of confusing. So I want to go over it with you. I want to go over access is the biggest thing and just talk about our reasoning behind buying properties like this and what goes through my head if I were a buyer too. So it's 1.8 deeded acres. Technically, if you go through the calculated acreage, I've got a video explaining it. It's 3.3 acres. You'd need a survey to really dial in. Is it 1.8 or 3? So getting a survey would dial that in. But I mean, the bigger thing is this is in a really expensive area. So like a property like this should be listed around 50 to 75,000, right? Like if I were to go on Zillow and look at comps, Zillow.com and go to Placerville, we can see that. And the big thing I'm going to talk about is access in this video because we don't know if there is or isn't access. That's a reality of this property. So pulling up GPS coordinates, if you do want to drive out here and scope it out, use the GPS coordinates. We post this in the website listing down here, so you can see that. We've got some other information as well. So different things about zoning, parcel ID, county, things of that nature. So again, we're using GPS coordinates. We zoom in, we can see there's really no road going to it. There's creeks running around back here. Again, we're south of Placerville. So let's look at access on Google Earth. You can see this kind of looks landlocked, and it might be. You know, we don't have clarity on if it is or if it isn't. You know, we bought it at the right price. We're advertising it at a really low price too, in retrospect. So you're taking a chance. I mean, there's opportunity, but there also could be, you know, it might not work out for you. The first thing that would be going through my head is potentially maybe trying to work out a deal with the people on Farstar Lane. And our photographer has some photos of that in the listing. I believe Farstar is the one that gets you back there. And that's going to be your best access route. Let's see here. There's like a 2-track that goes back here to my knowledge. And I think it's this one. Let's see what the listing says. So this is where Farstar is. Yep. So Farstar Trail is what gets you back there. And we don't know if there's an easement or not. So you'd have to go further back there. So you see that Farstar Trail, and then you go further back there. That's what's going to get you back there. And we don't know if there's an easement, right? Can you talk to your neighbors, these folks, and buy an easement? Yeah, that exists. Hey, I'll give you $3,000 if you give me this 20-foot section to get back to my property. Like that's a reality, and their information's public. You can mail them a letter. We've got a property in like Moab, Utah area that's 200 acres. It's landlocked. We bought it for the right deal. We're writing letters to the adjoining property owners to try and get access. So there's still value to these assets. And this is BLM land. So that's what's really interesting about this is BLM land that goes back here. So technically you can walk back to this property. I mean, this is public access. Who owns this little tract? Again, United States of America, Bureau of Land Management. So this is BLM land as well. Those are some game changers. I'm going to make a note of this as well. BLM land here. Maybe it's something you park on Farstar and you start walking back there and you figure out access in the future. So that's something, this is really optimistic. Just you're able to walk back there. It's not totally landlocked by private ownership. So if you're buying property for the right price and you can pay for an easement from this neighbor or one of these other neighbors on a different side of your property, you know, you're into a property, let's say you buy this at 10 grand, you pay $5,000 for an easement. You know, this is a much, much more expensive property. If you look at comparable sales on Zillow, I'll show you here, it's a much more expensive property than $10,000 if you have access. Let's look at this one. This is $100,000 for a piece of land. This is on Farstar for 27 acres. This probably has access issues too. But we are getting, I know that comp, you know, 30 acres for 100 grand, but, you know, that comp is a little bit different. Looks like my light just went out in this video, so you'll have to bear with me. Yeah, you know, we're getting a bunch of inquiries saying, why is this price so cheap? So it's something, I mean, here's a better example, 230 grand for 5 acres. So that's a pretty prime piece of property. So again, we're looking at GPS coordinates. That's how we're going to get back here. So we can see this is all BLM land. So off Gold Church Mine, you get to Farstar right here. I don't know how far back that goes, but this is County of El Dorado property too. So none of this is private ownership. You should be able to get past Farstar and get back there. So this is your access point. So this is County El Dorado. So county lands, El Dorado County property. Yeah, you should be good to blaze back there. El Dorado County property. So yeah, you can definitely get back there. This is public ownership all the way back here. So you get to Farstar. When it takes its turn, it's going to be, let's use a ruler and let's look from this turn. If you follow, you see how this is kind of creviced in there like that? About 200 yards back there gets you to the end of our property. So 200 yards from the end of Farstar. I'll actually take a screenshot of that as well and save it for people who are looking at the listing. So about 200 yards back here, get you back from Farstar. We can see that. And if you're on the property, you're like, heck, how the heck do I know where the lines are? It looks like this kind of slopes, or how do I know if I'm there? It looks like this kind of slopes down, right? And we're looking at, once you get back there about 200 yards, again, it's going to be tough to identify, but you imagine the property about 55 yards wide back there at the widest section, narrows down a little bit up here, 45, narrows down up here a little bit, 28, from that larger section back, we're about 383 yards. And you can measure all this out on the county website as well. So what we're looking at here. Farstar Lane's going to take you back there. All BLM land, this is private ownership. Maybe somebody will grant you an easement. And this is more USA BLM land. So everything like really along Church Mine Road on this side is a lot of BLM land. Let's see what this is too. So this is private ownership. Anyhow, you should have access all the way back here. That's this is owned by the county. That's public. This is BLM land here. This parcel right here that you can see on Farstar, that's public. More BLM land, that's public. So a lot of optimism actually looking at this property. I thought this was private ownership when I first started this video. It's not. This is the only private ownership property here. So interested in maybe a camping spot, maybe a place to develop in the future. Maybe just something to buy and hold and call an investment. So again, my name is Miles at Wilco Land. Give us a call if you have questions. We're open to cash offers on this property. We offer owner financing as well. So 605-299-5553. Thanks for tuning in.